Great, just drop. Make sure you pick up the third trade of Umbrella Academy. I'm going to bring out your moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Troy from Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Let's hear it for Brandon.
What's up, Rhode Island Comic Con? How you guys doing? You guys ready to roll into Umbrella Academy? Yeah. So, without further ado, can I get some of our guests out here? Can I get Justin H. Men out here, please? Alright guys, let's jump right in. So, first
a lovely looking bunch.
There's something to your moon face when you came out here.
First and foremost, gentlemen, how has Rhode Island been treating you guys thus far?
Well, the convention center is lovely. That's about all we've seen so far.
Alright. Justin?
I had an amazing drive here. It was really nice. I got here a few hours ago. We're shooting most of the night. Well, this guy was looking at
Day off.
So yeah, it's been lovely for a few hours.
Alright, awesome. So guys, season 1 of Umbrella Academy left us off in a very interesting place. So, in talking about the beginning of the process of you getting involved with that show, can you talk a bit about that? Because there's so many interesting dynamics in terms of relationships and moments that happen in that show, and talk about like looking at the script and seeing some of those moments and trying to picture how they would work.
Yeah, you know what's really weird about this show as well is that we got on like a house on fire straight away. This group of actors, and it felt like a family very early on. It felt like brothers and sisters. Like we started bickering and stuff, really. And what's strange about it is usually to achieve that, you go through chemistry process, where you read with different characters and you see if you bond and if you have chemistry. And we didn't do that with any of us. So the fact that it gelled together so well, and I think that's a testament to Steve Blackman, the showrunner, who sort of understands people as well as actors, and how we might interact with each other. So that process, when we first got together, we did have this process for like, was it like a week, 2 weeks when we first got to Toronto, where we did a bunch of rehearsals. And that's vital time that Netflix gave us, to really flesh out what these relationships are before we even got to camera. So that was hugely important, and we benefited a lot from that.
You say the same, Justin?
Yes.
So, Tom, I also have to ask, now being part of Umbrella Academy, you seem just to have an idea of what shows to get involved with. So can you talk a bit about your process and what draws you to a role? Because gosh, we have Black Sails, hugely underrated show. We have, gosh, Umbrella Academy now, but also Game of Thrones, obviously, that rings my mind. So
Merlin.
You got through the CV. They patch. Well done. Yeah, a lot of it is obviously luck. There's a huge amount of luck involved. But before I took Umbrella Academy, I was very fortunate that after Game of Thrones that was an amazing platform for me when I got Game of Thrones, and it's sort of like the world's best audition because every producer in Hollywood watches that show. So, if you have any kind of standout role in that, then it is beneficial. But I was fortunate that when after that had been on, there was a few projects that came my way, and you start to get a bit of an eye for what I like to call sifting through the crap, because there's a lot of the same kind of shows. And I actually decided, I was like, I'd love to do some kind of superhero show, but some of the superhero shows for me were lacking the depth, were lacking the character depth that I wanted out of a role. And I always said if I did a superhero role, that it would, I'd feel like I wanted something more than just being a superhero. And then this show fell on my desk, and I was like, this is unreal. Like, it's unlike anything that's been done. And the thing that I loved about it the most was it's about the characters, and that's what drives it. And you know, that's what keeps an audience, ultimately. You can do all the action, you can do all the superhero stuff, but eventually it gets boring. For me, the fact that this was about a family who had experienced like child abuse and all these things that were so much deeper than just being superheroes, that's what was interesting to me, and I was hoping that that's what ultimately would be interesting to an audience, and why I think it's been a hit.
Yes, how about you?
Yeah, my process was a bit different. My character was secret, so I wasn't given any sort of information from the onset. I was given these fake audition scenes to audition with. Usually within an audition process, you find out within a week or two whether or not you're moving forward. But I remember I put myself on tape for this part that I knew nothing about. And then didn't hear anything for almost a month, I think, a month and a half, and by that point I had forgotten all about it. Although I did remember really enjoying even this fake audition scenes, because it was a scene between a brother and talking to his other brother who was a drug addict, and obviously they pulled that from the show. I thought I was auditioning for some really serious, like, drug rehabilitation show. Turned out a little bit different. So a month later, I get a call from my team, and they sort of are like, hey, remember that show that we know nothing about? The secret show, they want you to come back and read for it again. It's been taking a long time because they've been sort of trying to cast out of everywhere. And so I said, okay. So I went in and I did it again, and I thought it went okay. I didn't really know how to feel, and then I think 3 days after that they said, you're moving to Toronto. And then I said, wait, like what is this? What am I doing in Toronto? I'll move, but what am I doing? And that was when I started to realize that it was this Umbrella Academy show that was based on the comic books. I had heard of it, but I had never read it. I had heard of it. And then I had started to do my research, and then I realized that, like, Tom and a bunch of people on the page, all of these people have been cast. And so I started thinking, okay, if these people have been cast, like, who am I? in this series. And so I very quickly went to my local bookstore, and I got the comic books, and I read it. And then I was like, who am I? I was like, there's no one who vaguely looks like me, unless I'm like playing a tree in the background. So I got to Toronto, and then Steve Blackman, our showrunner, sits me down, closes the door, and is like, I'm gonna tell you why you're here finally. You're playing the sixth sibling. And I said, wait, I read the comic books. He's dead. And I said, exactly. And so that's kind of how it happened. And it was such a pleasant surprise. And as Tom said, when we all met, it was like love at first sight.
It still is.
Sure.
Well, obviously, I know you can't go into any details, but if, without spoiling anything, if you were able to sum up on the upcoming season a word to describe it, what would you say it should be?
It's just broader. I can't say it in a word, but like it's like, think about everything that you loved about season 1 and then give it a good old burst of steroids. It's that.
I think what Tom, it's exactly. It's like, I think the first season of any show, particularly a show like ours, you're spending a lot of time introducing the characters in the world and getting the audience acquainted, especially if they didn't know comic books, with what this type of world is. And now that we've already set that, we get started right away from that first scene in season 2, and you're in for a wild ride.
Awesome, awesome. So guys, I will leave it up to you guys. We have the mic here. Any questions? Yes. You. Tell me the mic. And if you have somebody, actually can get a line. So if you guys have questions, you can start calling it out.
Hi, my question is for Justin, and my question is, do you think that in the afterlife, Ben would have met Dave or Patch?
It's a very good question. No, and the reason I say no is because I think the way that he interacts with ghosts and the people in the afterlife is pretty much determined by Klaus. So when we saw that scene in episode 4 where, Klaus gains more control of his powers and all of those ghosts kind of come up in that room with Hazel and Cha-Cha, it was at that point where Ben can interact with those because Klaus had conjured them and summoned them. I don't think Ben has, unfortunately, the freedom to go looking for his own ghosts, which would be nice. I would love a ghost love story. I think he and Dave would be good friends. But him and Patch as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy. The comic books have been such a big part of my life since I was in middle school, and I just thank you for like I used to fan cast them when I was 13. I was like, oh, Winona Ryder would be great. And
You couldn't afford her, unfortunately.
He's way too high now. Them days are gone.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you for making it a reality, and such an amazing reality. It's reality, you know what I mean. But I'm actually I kind of work. I'm a wrangler for things, and I just want to know what the craft services are like.
You know what? Pretty good, aren't they?
Very good.
Very good. We set that quite early on, a precedent that that we wanted to make sure that the food was good on set, so they got the best caterers. I mean, I was at the forefront of that. So yeah, I sort of spearheaded the whole movement. But we got the best caterer in the city in Toronto, and they're great for anyone who has dietary requirements and eat the way I do. So,
which is, very limited.
It's not limited. It's very varied. It's just you don't eat the colour that I eat in my diet. The varied vegetables.
Vegetable heavy catering. That's just
very vegetable heavy.
Very good.
But very good vegetables.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, always usually people ask, what's your favorite this, what's your favorite that? But my question is, what was your least favorite, episode or scene you had to, film in? You just have to, constantly go over and over, or you hate being in it?
I have one. I'll start. I have a few. I'm kidding. Not really. The very, very first scene of the pilot, where I have my incredible debut for 10 seconds in that car. That car was shot in the dead of winter, and we could not obviously turn on the heat of the car for sound purposes or whatever. So it was freezing in there. It was absolutely freezing. For those who think that it's amazing CGI that I pop in and out, that was all manual. So if you can imagine, I was down here in the bottom of the car, and as soon as I could feel the camera coming towards me, I had to pop up, and we did that about 62 times, freezing. So that one was tough.
especially because it was like my very first thing, and yeah.
Well, what's weird about my one is that it's like it was like the best and the worst at the same time. Because, so I wear this massive prosthetic suit, right? So the rave scene.
That was my favorite scene. My favorite scene.
Here's the thing with the rave scene. Unlike his one, where it was in the dead of winter, it was in the height of summer, in an old soap factory that had no ventilation. So, equally so, my suit had no ventilation. So I'm like dancing around for like 12 hours straight, and I was in a bad way. Like I just remember like not being able to breathe properly because it was getting so, and I was like, I can't, like there's no heat getting anywhere. At the same time, I was like, I turn the music on. So I was having a great time doing the scene, but also I was thinking, I may die at the end of the day. So yeah, it was
I just remember we hadn't seen. I think that was the first time I saw you with the prosthetics. We hadn't seen you with your shirt off prior to that. I mean, just in private, but for the show, that was the first time. And I remember he had sort of his own area because all the prosthetics guys had to do what they needed to do. And so when we started shooting that scene, the first time I saw you was when we were shooting that scene, and it was a sight to behold.
Yes, it was.
It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious.
Thank you.
Always have to do this. Hi.
Hi.
If you had a choice, if you could choose, what kind of direction would you like your characters to go in?
I'd like to cry less.
I'd like to cry more. But I think we both have pretty interesting journeys this season, and I think they were delightful to get to do.
Yeah, I've had a blast this year.
Yeah.
Season 2's been so much fun. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, that's the thing with all the characters in season 2, is that they've all been taken so much further and in different directions than what they were in season 1, completely. So, yeah, it's kind of all those characters, all the things you loved about the characters in season 1, they've really been tested this year in a completely different way.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, first must I say, Dad sent you to the movie.
He did. Don't bring it up. Sore subject.
Second of all, so this isn't much about the show, but it's about the people who did the soundtrack. Did you know that My Chemical Romance was getting back together before?
You know what? That came as much of a surprise to me, because I remember talking to Gerard, like was it when we were in Brazil doing the Brazil Comic-Con, and I was chatting to him then about it. And it didn't even to be on his radar, it was kind of like behind him. So when that announcement got made recently, I was like, oh wow. Like, I was surprised. I will be calling him for tickets.
I already have called him for tickets.
Got ahead of the queue.
And if you had to choose, what would be your favorite relationship between the father of the family and the children? What would be your favorite relationship between each of the children? Like whether it be Vanya or Luther?
Is it our favourite relationship between him and them?
Yes.
I mean, he didn't have a great one with any of them, did he? I'd like to see what, because Alison is quite spicy, isn't she? She chats back a bit. She's got a bit of she's got some cojones. I'd like to see what their relationship was like, because she always used to give a little bit of sass back. So I think she's the only one that did that.
I mean, they seemed like they were close. I mean, he used her.
True, he used her, yeah.
He used
So I
her.
wonder if she chatted back to him a little bit. Robert, what are you doing here?
what scene did you have to do the most retakes of, whether it was getting into character or just you got out of character? Which one did you think was the most difficult to do?
Well, the group scenes are always tough. When it's all of us there, they're always, because, well, A, we're usually laughing at each other because someone said something stupid. Usually you. So that those days, you know, but the thing is with those days when we're shooting those scenes is we have to do so much coverage because you've got to cover everyone. So you do the same scene like a lot, over and over and over again, and so you have to find ways of making it fun. But by doing that, you screw up the scene a lot. So yeah, they're always pretty tough.
Yeah, I remember when we shot that family sequence where we were all looking at the security footage, and like you and Ellen kept laughing.
Oh yeah, me and Ellen make each other laugh a lot. Like if we just
For
look at
no
each other,
random reason,
for
yeah.
no reason.
Yeah.
If me and Ellen have to make eye contact for whatever reason, we start laughing.
Yeah.
I don't know why. We're like two of the most serious characters in the first season. Don't know. Maybe that's what it is. We're trying too hard to be serious.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, any scene with Robert was a mess because we would just be fooling around, or he would do something ridiculous that would make me crack up in the middle of it. So I can't really point to any particular one. It just happened quite often, all the time, and even more so this season. So I'm excited for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi guys. First of all, you're probably not gonna believe me, but that is my favorite. I promise.
Oh. He's my favorite as well.
I love Ben and his relationship with Cubs, obviously. My next question though is for Tom, and it's a very serious question. My friends and I are wondering, how tall are you?
In feet and inches, I'm 6'5".
Thank you.
You know, it's unfair because I'm a solid average, maybe even slightly above average height.
Yeah, you're not in my league, mate.
Yeah. No, but everyone on the show is so tall, except Ellen Page.
Well, that's the thing. Like normally they would be tall humans in a room, but then I enter. Everything changes.
Now here it goes again.
Hi. So, I know you've probably been asked this question before, but if you could have any superpower and be like a real life Umbrella Academy, what would your superpower be?
Well, I would want to teleport. And so, like, Five's powers are great. Like, teleport and time travel. Because also, you know, like, traveling. We do a lot of traveling in our industry. We're flying a lot away from the house. Like, I'm away from my kids and my wife and stuff a lot. So, I said to my wife the other day, I was like, wouldn't it be great if you could teleport? Like, you know what, I'm going to pop home. And then come back. It'd be brilliant. I'd want that. That would be good.
Yeah, I mean, Allison's is the cliche answer, but like, yeah.
That's a very powerful power.
Yeah, you could do anything. Anything.
Yeah, in terms of being able to influence other people's decisions, that's like massive.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Hello. When you were talking about researching the role and checking out the comics, I was wondering if either of you got the chance to check out Hotel Oblivion and how you feel about that cliffhanger.
I'm not ready. I'm saving it to the end of shooting season 2, and then I'm going to delve straight into it because I love the first 2. So yeah, I'm waiting to this end of the season to give me my end of season treat to read it.
I just got it because Robbie and I were fortunate enough to go to New York Comic Con, and the Dark Horse people gave it to us. So I burned through that. It's epic. It's actually the last little moment is with you. with Luther, and I won't ruin it. But, it's really, it's really good. You're dead. You joined me.
Excellent, we had a great time.
It's great. It's wonderful. If you haven't read the comics, please pick up a copy. They're absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Can we expect a season 3?
Well, let's finish season 2. Yeah, it's early days, you know, but if everyone keeps watching it, then there's obviously more opportunity to do more stuff in the show. Yeah. So.
Yeah, if you're asking if there's more room for more storytelling, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Thank you.
Out of the 7, who do you think has the strongest power?
I think probably, yeah, we always say it's probably Alison in terms of the strongest in terms of what she can actually do with that if she bothered to use it. But that's the thing, I think it's quite clever in the writing that they did that with Alison, because if she did use it all the time, then she could literally solve a problem like that. So I think it's actually quite clever that they've done that she doesn't really like to use the power.
But if they were to go head to head, I mean, before she could even speak, you know, Vanya could do something.
Vanya is by far.
Yeah, Vanya's pretty bad.
She's ruthless,
Alright, I got an important question. What color socks are you wearing right now? This is from Amanda on Twitter too. You know her, Justin.
What color socks am I wearing?
Yeah, it's very important.
I'm wearing white socks with little black stripes on it. What are you wearing?
I'm wearing black socks, Justin. You look like you should be wearing those at Wimbledon. They're like really cool tennis socks.
Yeah.
And have you made any seed balls with Robert yet? Have you made?
Yes, the seed balls. If you don't know, Robert is making seed balls. Seed balls are basically like a concoction of seeds that you can sort of throw anywhere and they sort of grow into plants. Yes, I received a few from him. I didn't make them with him, I received a few from him. Unfortunately, it's not the best season to plant them, but we're gonna wait it out and see what we can do.
And last question, Justin. Will you play Minecraft with me sometime?
I have never played, but I'm open to the experience.
I will help you out.
All the judgment in the audience. I'm sorry.
Wait, hold on. I thought people, like I've got a little niece and they say, no, we don't play it, we just watch people play it. What?
Yeah, somebody's got to play.
So who's playing it and who's not playing it? How do you decide which category you go into? So it depends if you're a player or a watcher.
Yeah.
I remember when someone first mentioned it, I thought they were talking about Minesweeper.
Yeah, what's that?
Windows 98.
Windows 98?
Yeah.
That'll be the next thing. We're going back in time into the quality of game.
That was a lot of fun.
This next thing we're going to be playing Snake. It is a classic. We should bring back snakes. Do they have a snake out?
Okay.
Oh man, best game ever. I got one that was so long once. That was a proud day.
And then last thing, Justin, me and some Twitter stands are coming for you tomorrow, so.
Oh.
Yeah. We got like a whole group and everything.
Okay, I'll be ready. Thanks, Ross.
And guys, I'm sorry, we only have time for 2 more questions, so gotta make it fast.
So, first of all, I just want to say, Justin, you're the star of my favorite scene, where you're on top of the ice cream truck and you sing. That's my favorite moment.
It's improvised. That was improvised. It was. We had been in the ice cream truck for about 6 hours. Wasn't that long, but we had done that a few times, and you know, once you're sitting in that seat for that long, we just start. Yeah, you were there that day too.
Yeah, I was outside.
Yeah.
And my question is,
what is your favorite theory about how Ben died?
Ooh, that's a
Because
good
there are a lot
question.
of fan theories. So which one's your favorite?
Isn't the one that Luther was something to do with it? Isn't this one? I'm sure there was one where like Luther might have been to. Is that in the comic or?
Yes, there's a sort of indirect allusion to that. Yeah, I could see you doing that. You know, I really don't want to say anything because who knows if the show will explore that, and I don't want to say anything. But good question.
Thank you. One question can't be a double part. Go ahead.
You kind of just touched on this, but were there any memorable ad-libs that either of you had, whether they made the final cut or not?
It's true, yeah. So we did a lot. So I'm trying to think of
What made the cut?
what made the cut.
That's it's one of the beauties of the show and the freedom that Steve, our showrunner, gives us. He kind of allows us to go off the dialogue and the scripts whenever we feel like it's a good moment. And there's a lot of things that everyone adds here and there that
Yeah.
makes it really fun.
Yeah, it's hard to distinguish between the two sometimes because you sort of, because Steve Sheridan always is like, just give me one of what's in the script. Just give me one like take of each of those, and then you can try stuff. So then it sort of ends up becoming sometimes you forget what was in the script and what wasn't in the script. I'm trying to think.
I think I've shared this before, but when Ben punches Klaus and Klaus says, "You Patrick Swayze me," that was
That's an excellent moment.
that was a complete ad-lib, and I was very close to laughing. Fortunately, I was able to keep it in. I did not expect it.
All right, so guys, that's all the time we have. I'm so sorry. So can we give a round of applause? I just wanted to announce that we have Justin downstairs at the table if you want to see him. So just giving you guys a heads up so you guys can make your way downstairs.